Every parent teaches their kids one basic rule: don't play with fire. But what if the child is the fire? Thanks to a secret experiment done on her parents, Charlie has developed some terrifying powers they never saw coming. Can one little girl really burn an entire town to the ground? Let's find out as we dive into the full story of Firestarter, 2022. In a haunting flashback, we see a baby girl named Charlene Charlie McGee sitting quietly in her crib. At first, everything feels calm and ordinary. But in the blink of an eye, something goes terribly wrong. Without warning, flames suddenly burst out around the crib, engulfing the room in fire. This isn't an accident, and it isn't an electrical short. This is Charlie herself. Even as a baby, she's already showing terrifying pyrokinesis powers. Her father, Andrew Andy McGee, rushes in, completely panicked, desperately trying to save his child as the room burns around them, realizing his daughter is capable of something far beyond normal human limits. The story then jumps back even further in time to another flashback. A much younger Andy sits beside his girlfriend Victoria Vicky Tomlinson, inside a cold clinical research facility. The two listen, as a doctor calmly explains an experimental drug trial they're about to join. They're told they'll be injected with a chemical called Lot 6, described as harmless and temporary. What the doctor doesn't fully reveal is the real purpose of the experiment. After receiving the drug, Andy unknowingly develops telepathic abilities, allowing him to influence and control other people's minds. Meanwhile, Vicky gains telekinesis, giving her the power to move objects using only her thoughts. What starts as a simple experiment quietly sets the stage for something far more dangerous, and for the birth of Charlie's devastating abilities. In the present day, Charlie sits quietly at the kitchen table, still shaken from a terrifying nightmare. The house is silent, but it's clear something is wrong. Her parents soon join her, sensing her fear. Charlie finally opens up, admitting that she's been holding something back for a long time. She says she's been repressing something bad inside her, and because of that, her powers are starting to feel unstable and harder to control. Andy and Vicky listen with growing concern, knowing exactly what those powers are capable of. Not long after, Charlie's struggle spills over into her daily life. At school, she becomes the target of bullying, and the anger quickly builds. Unable to control her emotions, Charlie snaps. In a sudden, explosive outburst, a bathroom stall erupts in flames, causing chaos and panic throughout the school. The incident isn't planned, it's a raw emotional reaction, but it proves that her abilities are becoming more dangerous by the day. Meanwhile, Andy is shown trying to live a normal life while secretly using his own ability, known as the push. During a session with a client, Andy subtly influences the man's mind, convincing him to quit smoking. The push works, but it comes at a cost. The effort puts immense strain on Andy's body, and as the session ends, blood begins to trickle from his eyes, a clear sign that using his power is slowly destroying him. Meanwhile, inside a heavily secured secret facility, Captain Jane Hollister, the cold and calculating leader of the Department of Scientific Intelligence, closely monitors a series of unusual thermal signatures appearing on her screens. These intense heat spikes all trace back to one source, Charlie McGee. Each outburst confirms her worst fears. The child's powers are growing stronger and more dangerous. Concerned by what she's seeing, Hollister pays a visit to Dr. Joseph Wanless, the scientist responsible for creating Lot 6 and, unknowingly, a generation of superhumans. Wanless studies the data with visible dread and warns Hollister that Charlie is unlike anyone before her. He insists that if she isn't stopped soon, her abilities will spiral completely out of control. His recommendation is blunt and chilling: Charlie must be terminated before it's too late. Taking his warning seriously, Hollister turns to one of her most dangerous assets, a fellow superhuman named John Rainbird. She enlists him to track down the McGee family and bring the situation under control. Rainbird soon arrives at the McGee home, presenting himself calmly before confronting Vicky. Sensing the threat, Vicky desperately attempts to fight back, drawing on her long-repressed telekinetic powers. But she's no match for Rainbird's strength and brutality. In a shocking moment, he kills her without hesitation. As Andy and Charlie return home, they're met with a nightmare. Rainbird holds Charlie at knife point, using her as leverage. But the fear and rage are too much. Charlie's powers surge beyond control, overwhelming Rainbird. In an explosive release, she unleashes a massive concussive burst of flames that rips through the house, sending fire and destruction in every direction. Amid the chaos, Andy grabs Charlie, and the two manage to escape just in time. They jump into their truck and flee into the night, leaving behind the burning ruins of their home and the life they once knew. While on the run, Andy and Charlie cross paths with a man named Irv Manders. With no other options left, Andy secretly uses his ability, the push, to influence Irv's mind, convincing him to drive them to Boston. Irv agrees, and the pair hitch a ride with him, eventually stopping at his house along the way. At first, Irv seems helpful, but the situation quickly grows tense. Inside the house, Charlie accidentally stumbles upon Irv's wife, who is paralyzed and confined to her bed. The discovery triggers something deep inside Irv. He explodes in anger, lashing out emotionally before eventually calming down and admitting that he sometimes overreacts. The tension lingers, but they stay the night. Unable to sleep, Irv spends the entire night glued to the television, watching a news report about the fire at the McGee home. The incident is being publicly framed as a brutal murder committed by Andy. This sparks a heated argument between Irv and Andy, with Irv questioning whether he's harboring a dangerous criminal. Andy finally breaks down and explains the truth. He isn't a killer, he's just a father trying to protect his daughter from forces that want to use or destroy her. Charlie then steps in. After silently communicating with Irv's wife through telepathy, she tells Irv that his wife forgives him for the accident that left her paralyzed. The words hit Irv hard. Overcome with guilt and emotion, he finally relents and decides to help protect Andy and Charlie. When police arrive, triggered by an earlier emergency call Irv had made, he attempts to stall them and keep the family safe. But it's already too late. Hidden in the bushes nearby, John Rainbird reveals himself. Without warning, he kills the policeman in cold blood, then shoots Irv in the knee, leaving him screaming on the ground. Moments later, black government trucks swarm the area. Andy and Charlie are captured and taken into custody. Inside the chaos, Andy makes one last move. Using every bit of strength he has left, he uses the push on Rainbird, tricking him just long enough for Charlie to escape into the nearby forest. Alone and terrified, Charlie survives on her own, spending time learning to control and sharpen her fire powers. Eventually, she steals a bicycle and some clothes, guided by a telepathic message from Andy, who reaches out to her from his cell inside the DSI facility, urging her to come find him. Charlie finally tracks down the DSI facility. Once inside, she encounters a lone agent and manages to steal his security pass card. When the agent suddenly panics and pulls his gun on her, Charlie reacts instantly, killing him before he can fire. Shaken but determined, she presses forward, knowing her father is somewhere inside. Using the stolen pass, Charlie makes her way down a massive staircase leading into the restricted lower levels of the facility. Each step brings her closer to Andy. She eventually reaches a glass-fronted cell where her father is being held. Standing beside the cell, Captain Jane Hollister warns Charlie not to use her fire, telling her that any flame she unleashes will also burn her father alive. From inside the cell, Andy finally speaks to Charlie. He reveals the truth, that it was John Rainbird, not him, who used telepathy to call her there. Weak and clearly dying from the constant use of his powers, Andy realizes there is no escape left. Fighting back tears, he apologizes to Charlie for everything she's been through. Then, in a devastating moment, he uses the last of his strength to push her to do the unthinkable. He tells her to burn the entire place down, starting with Hollister and himself. Heartbroken and forced to accept his decision, Charlie unleashes her power. She sets both Hollister and Andy on fire, ending their lives in a single, brutal moment. Now completely on her own, Charlie mentally unlocks every security door in the facility. As alarms blare, she walks through the corridors, methodically killing the DSI agents in her path, leaving nothing but flames behind. During the chaos, Rainbird's holding cell opens, setting him free. Charlie is soon surrounded by heavily armored men wearing fire proximity suits, making her flames useless against them. Just as they move in to capture her, Rainbird appears and shoots them from behind, saving her life. He then drops his weapon, kneels before Charlie, and silently surrenders himself to her judgment. Charlie prepares to kill him, but then catches her reflection in a nearby mirror. In that moment, she realizes Rainbird is just like her, used and manipulated by the same people who destroyed her family. Choosing mercy over revenge, Charlie spares his life. She then turns away and finishes what she started, burning the rest of the DSI facility to the ground. Sometime later, Charlie is seen walking along a quiet beach, with Rainbird following behind her at a distance. With nowhere left to go and no one else in the world, Charlie finally allows Rainbird to carry her. Together they walk off into the darkness, leaving the past behind and stepping into an uncertain future.